Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Alright, good evening everyone, and welcome to a special holiday Wednesday edition of War Room. This is episode number 10. And tonight we're going to be talking about not only the patch notes, but the newest, biggest info drop of probably the year, which is ClanTech. But first, we're going to go around and introduce our guests for tonight. Start off with Multi-Talented.
Hello, this is Multi-Talented Proxus, and my shout out goes to Saturday's meeting. Be there.
Alright, simple and sweet. Siri, how's it going, man?
Going pretty good. I'm Serial Thrax from SJR, light lead, and better than Sace, although because he keeps dying and won't honor our duels.
Bring the dildos, we'll do it.
I don't know what kind of duels you guys are having. And a new guest on the show, we have Queen Blade of the 228.
Swag.
Introduce yourself, dude.
Yes, I am Queen Blade of the 228, winner of Team Tiger on the Mech Warrior International. I also do tactical stuff.
Alright, sounds like a plan. Sace, I got you the new logo. It's extra big just for you. Introduce yourself.
Do I need an introduction anymore?
I mean, other than that,
Sace,
Siri's better than you, etc. That's all I got.
Light lead from the Remnant and Siri's sworn nemesis.
Alright, and last but certainly not least, on the bottom right corner, we have Sir Trent Howell of BSK.
Yep, Trent Howell, Knight Colonel, Commanding Officer of Blackstone Knights.
Alright, so, as many of you know, it's been a busy week. I actually wasn't going to do a show this week, and then all the stuff happened, so I felt like I had to. To start out talking about clans, we're going to start out with talking about clans, and then we'll move on to the patch notes, and talk about the competitive scene with the new map and the new mechs, not that they fucking matter. But to start out, I wanted Siri to go over, because he's such a fountain of information, and he's going to give us a quick little update on everything that happened with the clan package, if any of you don't check social media, or Reddit, or the forums. Not that I fucking do anymore, because it's terrible. But I'll pass it on to him now.
Right, so Rafa wanted me to do this. He put me up to it. If you don't agree with anything in here, blame him. But I'm just going to try and give a 5-minute synopsis of the events, arguments surrounding the recent clan pack announcement, not getting too bogged down on small details. So, basically just so we don't spend the entire show talking about drama and taking cheap shots. And it's sort of half speech, half PSA. So first off, just the facts. On Friday, PGI introduced a webpage with a long-awaited sale of the clans, and to simplify Battletech lore, the clans were a faction that went into self-imposed exile several hundred years ago. They evolved into a technologically superior warrior culture, and then they returned with a sweeping invasion of the quarreling, fractured Inner Sphere, to impose a new world order. So, eventually the factions of the Inner Sphere rallied together, halted the clan invasion, counterattacked the clan homeworlds, and everything was sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies. But needless to say, the clans, they're extremely significant to lore, and they were expected to tie heavily into the implementation of community warfare. But on the sales webpage, the only information available was a short teaser trailer, 8 increasingly expensive packages to purchase clan mechs, and the option to purchase a gold mech for $500. Absent was any information whatsoever on how the clans would tie into community warfare, how clan tech would be balanced, what sort of loadouts the clans would have, why there were even different variants for supposed omni-mechs in the first place, and who or what the heck the clans were for anybody unfamiliar with the lore. So within a day, the feedback thread on the official forums had reached over 150 pages, and most of it was pretty unhappy. In addition to the previously mentioned questions about the content of the sale, people had issues with the motivation and format behind the sale. Some people were offended by the structure and nature of the sale itself, and their reasons were 1, that the mechs from the previous package deal hadn't even been fully delivered when these clans were put up for sale. 2, that the top package was the cost of 4 or 5 AAA games, which was a record high price for MWO. 3, that you had to purchase the most expensive packages in order to get the fan favorite mechs. 4, that the sales page did an extremely poor job of explaining how the clans would be a cool and fun addition to the game. 5, that the $500 gold mechs were being marketed for only the most loyal of customers, implying that if you didn't spend money, you weren't loyal. So overall, this line of thought was dealing with the economic side of the sale and how PGI was targeting their sale to the customers. But other people were offended by the fact that PGI was having another sale at all. Their reasons were, first and foremost, that PGI continued to fail to meet deadlines and produce quality deliverables such as UI 2.0, community warfare, or game balance. These features have been selling points of the game since the Founders package, and yet somehow they always seem to be 2 months away from completion. Furthermore, the information that has been released on the features has been fairly incomplete. Second, asking for more money to finish work on core features is somewhat disingenuous when that sort of funding should be coming from IGP, the publisher. Third, the sale is being pushed 6 months in advance of an unfinished product with no evidence that PGI is capable of balancing the clans and not breaking the game entirely. Overall, this line of thought dealt with consumers' lack of confidence in PGI's ability to make MWO into a good game. So on Saturday, Paul, one of the lead developers, released a command share post on their plans for clan technology. Without getting into detail, the philosophy was that clan weapons would be different but balanced. Omnitech, the ability to freely equip any kind of weapon, will be implemented as the ability to be Dr. Frankenstein and swap out arms and torsos from one variant to another. In return, parameters such as engine size, armor distribution, and the location of some built-in heat sinks and crit slots will be completely unmodifiable. The reaction to the announcement was somewhat mixed, as it raised more questions about clan tech than it really answered. For example, how are paper-thin armored light mechs running 95 kilometers an hour supposed to be any good in the current game? And on Sunday night, PGI's president, Russ Bollock, officially responded to the still ongoing rage with a 2013 State of the Inner Sphere post. In it, he reiterated his faith in the game that they're developing, despite a small team size, and provided a roadmap to show that the next few months seemed positive. To show that they were committed to the game, Russ mentioned that IGP had acquired a license extension until 2018 for the rights to MechWarrior. He expressed his belief that the clan packages were fairly priced relative to the past packages, and that the gold mechs were supposed to be collector's items. Russ also said that they'd look into the possibility of altering the price structure to give more options to the customer to get the mechs they want, instead of having to pay through the nose just to get 1 mech that they really wanted and 7 that they didn't. Overall, the aftermath is that quite a few players are in a wait-and-see stance. They are continuing to play, but their wallets are closed until PGI takes concrete action, restoring their confidence in the game. After all, we've been given deadlines like the latest roadmap before, and they've come and gone with barely a whimper. For others, there's still enough faith to spend money on these packages, and they are unfazed by the prices. But finally, sadly, this incident has been the last straw for some and they've left the game. Whether it's temporary or permanent remains to be seen. Personally, I'm in the wait-and-see camp. I don't think that any of the groups are necessarily wrong, though. At the end of the day, whether you're continuing to play and whether you're continuing to pay are subjective choices and entirely dependent on the context of your own involvement and enjoyment of the game. I encourage everyone to stay informed and always welcome discussion, but please, never attempt to restrict others' freedom to choose or resort to personal attacks, even against PGI. And now on to our regularly scheduled programming. Raffle. They're saying they can't hear you.
Fuck! The sound was muted because I muted it because I was drinking beer. Okay, let's try that one more time. Thank you, Siri, for being eloquent, etc. Fuck, now I have to remember what I said. Okay, basically, I abandoned the forums after, like, the first few hours of the clan pack because they were just terrible, and I didn't want to deal with it. My problem was, I was excited when I saw this. It was really cool. I was really, like, you know, clan mechs. I've been waiting for this
It's
forever.
working now. It just caught up. The delayed.
Yeah, no, I know. It's, I had my mic muted because I was drinking beer, but, my thing was I didn't understand why people would be so angry at others for spending money. Like, all of these mechs are eventually going to be in the game. You don't have to pay money to get them. Like, eventually you can grind them out, with the exception of the gold mechs, which really aren't that ridiculous in pricing compared to some of the other free-to-play models I've seen. Like, if you guys check out Star Citizen, it's ridiculous. But, so my thing was reading the forums, I kept getting this feeling that, like, everybody was mad that you would possibly consider spending money on something like this, and it just didn't make sense to me. Like, they're going to be in the game, you don't have to pay for them. If you don't want to spend money, you don't have to spend money, but why care if other people do? And that was kind of my 2 cents. Something I didn't think about until a couple days ago when somebody mentioned it in channel was that the mechs, or the dollar pricing is actually priced according to how much they would cost in-game, which is why the pack is more expensive, because the mechs themselves, they're clan mechs, they're going to cost more. So, that's just my 2 cents on how I felt about it. Anybody else is welcome to talk about clan mechs. I just wanted to keep this conversation short. I'd like to kind of keep it towards hardpoints and stuff like that, and how you think they can be balanced.
Well, yeah, I mean, my initial impressions was that, okay, mechs, they look great. What about them? There was no information released whatsoever on these mechs until Paul finally came out in the state of whatnot. But even when those came out, it now seems like these clan mechs are actually weaker than the current Inner Sphere mechs. Whereas the only modification you can do on these things is the hardpoints. I would hope that maybe they could make the engine maybe more efficient, since it's kind of clan technology. So instead of them running at the 90, maybe make the engine 1.5 more efficient than its, you know, its Inner Sphere comparison, so that instead of a 90 something, it's running now at 130. Or even, again, another one I think is armor distribution. I think we should be able to change armor distribution.
I agree. The amount of detail they put into that post, though, makes me think that they must have thought about stuff like that. Like, they can't have just made these decisions and been like, oh, not having... Like, they look at the game. Like, they look at how people run mechs. Like, nobody runs mechs with half armor. Everybody tries to max out armor as much as they can. So, I feel like they must have some inclination of how they're going to do this to balance it. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more information out of that post, but it was a nice overview to the point where I felt like they were at least clearly thinking about it.
Well, see, it's nice that they're thinking about it, but really, Avelio's kind of hit it on the head in the chat, is they still haven't balanced IS tech. How confident are we that they can do clan tech right?
Well, I think what's going to happen, and I like the post they put up about clan tech, is that it seemed very calm. They seemed very open to exploring ways they can improve clan tech, make it actual functional within the game. And one of the thoughts I had was that you just have a new a pilot perk tree, much like the Inner Sphere mechs do, but you either increase the values in that, give a speed tweak, increase the speed tweak or something like that. Clan warriors are supposed to be superior to Inner Sphere warriors. If you want to reflect that in game, I think the way to do that is the pilot tree, and I think you can use that pretty effectively to change the way those mechs are going to operate on the field. I think Velos does make a good point. mainly is that how are they going to balance clan tech when IS tech is in such a statement that nobody uses pulse lasers anymore. And I won't mention SRMs, but I feel obligated to since we have another episode. But I think what's going to happen is come June or earlier is that they're just going to blow up the entire weapon system, and they're going to change all the IS tech and all the clan tech and just rebalance everything from scratch. And really, I hope that's what they do. It's just to start the slate over. You're going to have virtually new games. Everybody's been complaining about PPC Warrior Online and so on for forever. It's going to have a brand new weapon system, brand new. The whole balance is going to change, and I hope that's what they do.
Yeah, I agree, because the new clan weapons are going to... It also remains to be seen how they allow Innersphere and clan technology to be swapped. So, like, if you can put clan tech on Innersphere mechs, then I don't think clan mechs will be used.
The feeling I got from reading it was that the tech would be completely exclusive to one side or the other.
That's kind of what I
hope
got
so.
to. Because otherwise I'm just going to be like, oh, I'll put a UAC 20 on my Atlas, couple of Streak SRM 6s, you know, some clan ER PPCs, and I'll have a fucking 100-ton Atlas with armor and values that I can mess with all of this clan tech, and it'll be madly overpowered.
Not to mention they have the possibility of 5 clan mechs with jump jets, depending on which configurations they pick.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine a 100-ton jump jetting Daiichi?
Yes, I can. I'm so excited for that mech. Just purely, like, I don't care if it's in the $120 package. I don't care about any of that. I'm so excited for that mech. The art looks so good. But yeah,
Well, and then also going off of the statement about revamping the pilot trees, there was a Twitter post, I think a few weeks back, by Brian that states that they were going to have a post about pilot and module revamps. Haven't seen it yet, but
that was somewhere in
he
the
made mention of it.
in the update. It was February 4th is the UI 2.0. I don't remember which date it was, but there was something about... Oh, that's right, we get cockpit glass on the 21st. That'll be fun. I'm trying to find it. They talked about, in this little, you know, the roadmap, they had something for when we were going to get the new tiers. I
Well,
can't
those
find
were weapon tiers.
it. Tier 1 weapon modules? I thought they said something about... I might be crazy, don't worry about it. I thought they had said something about pilot modules, but I could be completely wrong. Yeah, so
I think you're crazy. I only remember the weapon modules.
It's very possible, man. It's been a hell of a week. I had finals all week. But I'm done now, so I can drink beer and do the show. I think it's going to be interesting. The thing that I'm still waiting to hear about is Clan XLs and how they work. Because if Clan XLs work the way they're supposed to, where losing a torso doesn't kill you, then I think clans will still have a fairly distinct advantage, because given a proper sized XL and okay armor, it means all clans are going to be able to mount more weapons. So, and their weapons are lighter. So depending on how that's implemented, we've seen the shadow in the little trailer. We know that they've got the models in game. I feel like they're playing around with them enough that they're experimenting to see how balanced like the typical clan glass trash cannon is versus IS tech. But I wish the competitive players could get a hold of it, because if we could get a hold of it, we could be like, no, everybody's just gonna fucking run this one build on that mech, because that's the only thing that's gonna be effective.
Well, yeah, you're going to see people who are going to create those 4 ballistic...
Oh yeah, 4 Gauss rifles. I mean, they're going to make sure
Right.
you can't fit 2 AC-20s, but you're going to be able to fit more than 1 Gauss on an assault mech, and it's going to be so good. Like, come on.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, since you can't switch the engines out, it's actually easier to get to a min-max loadout for the average person.
Yep.
Because half of the customization on the Innersphere mechs is choosing the right engine for the job in order to optimize your actual payload.
Yeah, and part of me is worried because I feel like UAC 20s and Streak SRM 6s. It's all anybody's going to take. Like, I can't think of a reason not to take stuff like that. And Clan PPCs.
Why would you take the Streak 6 when they were talking about balancing it by making it chain fire?
Oh, I didn't. Maybe I did see that.
It was suggested that something to be able to even it out would be to just make it chain fire. At that point,
But, okay,
I'd
so
rather have
a Mad Cat D with 4 of them. Like, what do you do against that?
run nothing but a chain of Lerm 5s and be that guy.
It really depends what they set the weight values to, because remember, unlike BattleTech, they are going to take artistic license with the weights, which is really something we've been saying they should be have done with the Inner Sphere weapons even for the longest time. Like, look at the large pulse lasers, 7 tons for that. That's the most egregious tonnaged power imbalance that there is in the game right now.
If that thing was 5 tons, I would use it all the time.
Yeah, even if it's shitty for its damage to heat. But if clan streaks end up being fairly heavy, then even if, like, voting for them, you don't get a lot of backup weapons, it could be balanced. Like, there are all those fitting issues in addition to the performance issues, that they do have variables that they can tweak, even if it throws the stock loadouts to hell. They probably do still need a change the ultra autocannon behavior, because...
I mean, I don't like the way ultras work right now anyways, but I think that a UAC, with the ability to even have a chance to double tap running 2 AC-20s on any, like 2 UAC 20s on any mech, that's 80 damage from one mech in 0.5 seconds. No.
Yeah, even if you're not doing it with 2 of them, 1 is still going to be out of whack power-wise.
I would, yeah, I don't know. I'll be excited for LBX 20s. That'll be fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, the UAC currently, I think, the current mechanic is broken on the UAC 5. It has a chance to jam on the first shot, which totally negates its unique characteristic.
I completely agree.
Here's the other thing, though.
UX used to be super OP.
No, UAC 20s, there are still 8 slots, so if you can't move around the endo crits and you can't move around the double heat sinks, they could feasibly balance enough of the mechs so that you can't boat 2 of them. I mean, that still leaves the point where 1 of them is still really friggin' powerful.
Yeah, I mean, still one of them is...
But I think that's why they're going for the restricted double heat sink movement and restricted, like, you can't move the endo crits, is so that they can limit the number of UAC 20 boating.
I agree.
The problem with that...
Go ahead, yep.
The problem with that is that if you take the Daishi, I believe it's the Alt-B variant, you take the Alt-B variant's torsos, pair it with the Prime's arms, and you have 6 ballistic hardpoints.
Yep.
Now, you're not actually taking advantage of the full 6. What you just want, like, the most broken from that
4
is
AC-10s.
Nope. 4 UAC 5s with 6 ER medium lasers.
Oh god, that's right, ER medium lasers. Oh, yes! Oh god, that's gonna be so dirty.
And the reason why I say that's the most broken is because no matter how many double heat sinks or crits you leave from the stock, that's gonna fit, just based on the stock loadout.
Yep.
So that's the lowest level of brokenness that we're gonna get if they implement it like that with no further restrictions.
But remember, the Daishi is gonna be a 100-ton mech with non-maxed armor values. So you're gonna need that...
it's actually got the same 608 armor maxed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. The only ones that are broken due to the armor
Lightnings.
are the Uller, Kid Fox, the Puma/Adder. Those are both not maxed armor. Like, the Kid Fox is just ridiculously undermaxed on armor. It's like 100-ish armor on a 30-ton mech.
Less than the Locust.
And the Summoner/Thor is going to be really bad because it's like 200-something armor on a heavy.
Like a blackjack worth of armor.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that, because I hope that... I want clan mechs to be, like, good. I want them to be enjoyable to play, but I can't see a way that they're going to be able to utilize the system that they said and balance both heavies, and balance heavy, mediums, assaults, and lights all at the same time. Because you're right, the fixing the slots for like double heat sinks and endo and Pharaoh and stuff like that, it works for heavy mechs because it prevents you from boating too many UAC-20s, it prevents you from doing too many Gauss rifles, stuff like that. But at the same time, you have to allow for those stock variants, like you said, which does allow for still fairly broken builds. But then with light mechs, by limiting the armor and engine, they're just fucked. I mean, I don't know. I like the art for the lights.
The art is good, and the art has never been a problem. It's just lamenting that we have to worry about here.
And then the one clan mech that's being really redesigned, the Nova, that actually now has a torso twist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ghost Heat.
I knew you were going to bring the Blackhawk up.
Of course, it's my favorite mech.
I think that's an okay way to do it, though, because otherwise the model, I don't know. I could see it having had the arms on the legs, but it might have been a giant pain in the ass.
It could be also that mask may not be ready, or they don't know if it'll ever be ready. I mean, that's what the Blackhawk used, was the mask for it to increase its turn. It had an increased turn rate.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about that. Look at all you BattleTech nerds showing me up.
Pug.
God damn it. We don't talk about that. Anybody else have anything they really want to talk about with clans? I mean, I know there's stacks on stacks of information to cover with all these posts. Did you guys think of anything interesting when you read the clan post?
Well, will they have a modifier or something for when? Because they mentioned weight balanced matchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, will these guys be weighed any differently, or will they be weighed at their exact tonnage? Will they be mix and match?
Now
will they be separate?
I read a tweet that had something.
You tell.
Damn it, Siri. Hold on, let me try and get to my Twitter quick.
They've always said that they're doing some kind of asymmetrical balance when it regards with clans. Whether they're going to stick with that in a few months is anyone's speculation, kind of the whole rest of this information.
Well, technically anything is at speculation at this point.
And if they stick with anything, is it speculation?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, is that they're not even sure. So any speculation we're doing is purely that, and we're back to a sort of wait and see orbit.
Okay, I found it. Here it is. Few people are asking why we would sell X feature or mechs before X features are released. The answer: 1, keep in mind every program thus far has delivered blah 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 blah. 2, many features like UI 2.0 and launch module, as well as other achievements, will be released before the clan mechs hit. When these clan mechs hit, players will have everything they need to support them, like tech balancing, including weight restricting and including weight restricted matchmaker. Sorry.
That's
we have to remember though that
yes,
they need to take the mic away from Russ.
We're not gonna go into that, but the point is, they are planning the ability to have clan tech balanced by clan mechs and weight.
Okay, and this was the topic of discussion last week, whether or not their plan for players to pick their mechs and get weights would work. So we still haven't seen, I don't think anybody thinks that the players picking mechs as a pug team is going to work, and we haven't seen a better solution out of them. So yeah, crossing fingers, but it seems pretty clear that's how they want to do it.
Yeah.
Like the Innisphere team, you guys pick 750 tons. Clan team, you guys pick 600 tons.
Which still means that clan tech should be better, which I'm okay with. I mean, I think clan tech should be better. I think it should be less completely unbelievably stupid good than it was before, because you don't have that that pilot disparity that you had, that you do in tabletop. But it should still be better, because otherwise there's no point in having clan mechs.
That's the whole deciding factor, isn't it now, is they need to be a little bit overpowered, but how overpowered is going to set it, because at just a little bit, the ability to min-max completely your Innisphere mech down to a point of armor and make it compete and be stronger. Too overpowered, you're not going to be able to keep up with clan tech.
Mm-hmm.
the rough balance.
I like what they've said so far, like the streak missile change. Now that you remind me that they're gonna fire in volleys, I like the LRM change. That means it doesn't do full damage at point blank range, which would mean why bother taking fucking streak missiles when you could take a clan LRM 20 for 5 tons and shoot people point blank range for full damage. Ha ha ha.
Streak 20.
Yeah, basically. And like
Now-
What they've said is pretty good. We're just looking at what they
Yeah.
haven't said, which is like PPCs,
PPCs,
Gauss, all the
UX.
other problem weapons that even in IS form.
I'm not
are
that
kinda
worried about
dominating the game.
Gauze, honestly, because the system
They-
they have up kind of debilitated the jump snipe use of Gauze, which was like why it was so stupid good, because it had such high projectile speed, such high damage, and it just fired at a click. So the charge up mechanic, in my opinion, kind of fixed
There you go,
that.
Ruffle.
What?
I think you just mentioned it. Remove of the charge up mechanic for Clan Goss.
Just to make it better?
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
Make it ridiculous.
Doesn't the Clan Gauze already weigh less and do more damage though?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't even need to remove that. Like, just this, that is fine in my opinion. But
Because essentially its DPS would be higher.
serious.
It's the DPS problem, not the
Mhm.
charge itself. The DPS on the Gauss is too low to use it in every scenario, and that's why it's not taken.
They need to, yeah, they need to lower the cooldown time by the time of the charge up, so that it's the same as it used to be. But yeah, no, Siri hit the nail on the head. It's the UAC problem and it's the XL problem. Those are the only two things that I feel like I'm really missing full understanding about Clan Tech.
I just want to cover one thing
clan
before we
module-
move on.
Oh no, sorry. Well, okay, Sace, I'm gonna let you go first. 'cause
I
you
wanted to
started
know,
talking.
did it come with a release date? I guess I didn't check. For the clans?
Which one?
June 7th.
June
the
17th.
June
packs.
17th.
June 17th.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The nice thing about that is it gives them an actual time clock, a sales time clock for when they have to have these features done. But I mean, the thing that we always have to keep in mind is a lot of this balancing and things are going to be weight restrictions and UI 2.0 and all these other things. And PGI is very much a learning company. They're not the best at working the Cry engine, and honestly, setting a hard deadline for them has kind of been proven not to be effective. And I'm worried about if they can implement all these things before they slap out the clan packs, and that's really going to affect it as well.
The content tracker is nice. I have to admit, I really enjoyed that. Now, I'm sure I'm just gonna get stacks on stacks of hate mail for this, but I don't remember them ever giving super concrete dates with anything but the Phoenix pack and this. And now through those tweets, which I hesitate to call official because I would be pissed if a bunch of people started trashing my game and I'd say anything to get them to shut the hell up. But
Well, I think something that could help them is something that while I worked at SOE, that we did the end of the week, a developer with a community would do on Twitch is kind of give a report of what they worked on for the week to kind of give us the community a more accurate feel of where the game they're playing is at.
do you guys think that would actually help this community? Because I feel like this community is already like so toxic about a lot of well, that's not true. Not the entire community. There are a lot of like really good guys in this community. I mean, the competitive scene for one is great, but I feel like most of the people that are on the forums and on Reddit and stuff like that are already just there to troll people and there to put out as much hate as they can. Do you guys actually think that something like that would help?
I think it would be a step. I think it would definitely be demonized early on, you know. Oh, they're just trying to cover up for this and that, which we see a lot.
Well, and
But
that's why I get
a lo-
so pissed, because like
Well,
I've been here for like all that shit. I've been here for fucking consumables, the original, like the Phoenix Mech announcement and all that, and everybody gets all up in arms and they get super butthurt, and then PGI's like, okay, we get it, we're sorry, here's what we're planning to do about it, and everybody calms the fuck down and they
Well, you
forget
have to
about it, and it
remember
comes out and it's okay.
that these aren't, yes, there's a lot of assholes in various communities, but these aren't unfounded asshole reasons. These people have been, we've been screwed over multiple times on multiple situations through this whole game process. And so you kind of led to getting this toxic player base that's, you know, deeply devoted. So it's going to be far worse than almost any other game when people, you know, you have fans here who say, well, if I leave this, I'm not going to have another Battletech game for another 10 years. It's not just, I'll find another shooter, it's, I need another mech game.
Yeah,
And
I think. Go ahead.
The anchor and all that, some of it's partially justified. I mean, yeah, when a developer puts a deadline on something, we really expect them to hit that deadline. It's been in beta for a long time. They don't have the experience of some of these other companies, and so we expect things to fall behind. But some of the rage that comes out of it, I mean, I have to agree with Raffle on this, is that I'm almost baffled by just some of the utter vitriol that's come out. I mean, when I saw Clans Mech get released and the website go out, I thought, yes, awesome. This is a great step in the right direction. There's a solid date for this. We're seeing clans coming in that have been they've been kind of hinting at for a long time, and I was nothing but happy to see it come out. But then there's just all this hate that comes out, and if they do switch to some sort of a weekly update, I mean I think that's a step in the right direction. And I mean, that's only going to improve their image, I think. But you're still going to get the trolls and the haters who are just going to, whatever they do, it doesn't matter what they do. If UI 2.0 comes out tomorrow, there's still people going to, well, screw that, that's terrible.
I can't believe they didn't. I can't believe they worked on UI 2.0 and Community Warfare still isn't here. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and ooh, we get 7 free days of premium time. Awesome. There's somebody somewhere going, well, god damn it, why isn't it 8 free days? And it kind of gets to that level and just gets utterly ridiculous. And so it seems like any kind of communication PGI has with the community has got to be cautious, it's got to be positive, and I think their best option is not to even acknowledge the fact that there are trolls and this negative atmosphere. It's not doing them any good, because all it does is it feeds them, and it becomes worse.
I'm completely against the kind of developer updates weekly. I mean, that works really well for a company like Star Citizen or some of these other games where the community is just really, really on top of it. But like, you take games where the community's, well, not so nice, where you get like a World of Tanks or a League of Legends format, where
MOBA.
The developers are just basically like, look what we made, it's coming out tomorrow, or introducing this, it's new. They don't go on and say like, oh, this thing's 6 months away, feel free to get your imaginations up and speculate and make the worst out of it as possibly you can. So I don't think it's a good strategy for them.
Right,
and
but that's
which is better.
Yeah.
I think you're selling the community short. Yes, there are always haters, but there are many, many more people who are just trying to bring an honest opinion to the table, calling a spade, and bringing factual criticisms. And that's not being hateful. That's constructive criticism. They're trying to discuss it in a mature manner. But if you write that all off as just trolling and hatred, then you're doing your player base a disservice.
I know what you're trying to say, Siri, but at the same time, I know people that have good points and express them like complete fucking assholes. Like, I see posts on the forums and I'm like, I know you, I've talked to you, I've heard you like discuss this, and you're not this big of a dick. Like, why are you saying this in such a venomous way that like people express their opinions in these ways that like drive fury towards PGI, which is not a good way to do it.
It's not very nice to describe Rust like that.
Hey now, hey now, hey now. But like, I don't know. It's just.
I think you're absolutely correct.
I know that there are a lot of well-intentioned people that don't quite know how to write their thoughts out in a way that doesn't degrade the community, because it comes off as an attack, and you don't want an attack. You want something that's constructive and has like well-listed points and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's something that they need to work on, but I wish that the community would understand. The thing that always kills me is the fucking people like, I can't believe it takes this long to develop a game. It's like, have you ever written any code? Ever done anything?
Well, it's not.
Yeah, Multi, how is Proxys?
It's actually doing really well. I made
I'm still finding
logs
bugs
to keep people accountable, and there is actually no mech duplication bug that I can see.
Don't worry, the current one now is
40
people not
person
being
team
able to
got
respond to defenses.
Okay, well, we'll get to that later. We should close out on clans because we've already been going for nearly an hour, and I'd like to get onto the patch notes.
Need more info.
I will say, final word on clans is people look at the buying out or the selling of the clan mechs to be a malicious money grab, and I would say a lot of the issues with PGI is people attributing all these things to maliciousness instead of just stupidity.
I wouldn't even put it to stupidity. It's okay. So let's
inexperience. They're not.
It's not even
experienced with what
inexperience.
they're working with.
It's publisher versus developer. So you have these people that their job is to make money, and their job is to look at a product and decide this will make us X dollars, this will make us Y dollars. And they look at these clan mechs and they go, holy god, half the talk on the forums is about these clan mechs, blah, 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 blah. Let's release these right before one of the biggest buying seasons of the year, right before Christmas. So they release these clan mechs because it's a good business opportunity. It's a good, time. When is the next big buying holiday in between now and June 17th?
Tax returns.
Okay, that's a good call. Tax returns is a good time. I did not think about that. But this isn't the developers looking at their stuff and being like, well, we really need to do this so that we can just, fucking hoard all of our money. This is the publisher being like, this game will make us X dollars if we do this now. And I'm sure that there are stats out there somewhere supporting the fact that you are going to earn more money before Christmas than you are during tax season. And so that's why they did it. It's a purely business decision, and it sucks. And I'm sure that there is somebody out there who is like, this isn't a good idea, the community's mad at us, don't fucking do this. But it happened anyways. And so I don't understand all of the rage, but it's a business decision, and people need to understand that this is a business, and like it or not, you're gonna get all this fucking shit for free if you just hold your goddamn breath and wait. So you don't have to pay $240 for it if you're patient. This game has always been time or money, whichever you have more of, and I don't get why you are mad about stuff like that.
The other thing is, we've seen a lot of. It's a community where definitely the publishers that have little interest or little value in the community other than your wallet really hurt PGI, the developers, over everybody else. You've seen so many releases business-wise these days that make no sense from a strictly business standpoint, but
such as
when delivered, let's go with Louis C.K.'s release of
his
album.
I thought you were talking about the game.
I'm not talking specifically. I'm talking generally. You see a whole lot of indie games and a whole lot of other things that come out with these releases that are playing solely to the fans from a developer's point of view and not really that business.
Well, right.
Smart of a move.
But that's the difference between developer and publisher, though.
But the problem is right now is the publisher is so detached from having any interest in what you want, which is dangerous with a game that is so driven by a very devoted and long-term fan base.
Right, which is
at this point we need some sincerity. We need some developer-based choices of, hey, we love these things too, because really they wouldn't be making this game if they didn't also love mechs.
Right, and that's where I wish that people would stop directing any anger towards the developers, who it's not like they're just sitting there being like, we sold 30 clan packs today, time to just sit on our ass and not make anything. Fuck no, they're going to work every day. They're building this game. It may be slow going, but they're working every day. It's the publisher who, I shouldn't say that with such certainty because I don't know, but from a business standpoint, my assumption is that the publisher is the one making these decisions that people are taking as money grabs. And I wish that people would stop hassling the developers and start asking...
Hassling the publishers?
Not even hassling the publishers, just providing more... I wish people would educate themselves about what's going on. Yes.
Can I provide 3 counter-arguments, and then we can move on?
You can provide 2. Give him 2.
Give me 2, because otherwise I'll respond to all of them and we'll have to keep going. But go ahead, Siri.
Alright, first of all, the value is based on... Okay, well, Raffle, how much is a Daishi going to cost in C-bills?
Is 36 mil? Let me get done Sarna quick.
I was just going to say 3
35.
times an Atlas?
It's like 30 million. Here's the thing, though. If they're making clans balanced to Inner Sphere, why are clan mechs still more expensive?
29.35 mil.
But still.
30 million, like I said.
Good point, Siri.
That is a good point.
So, from a game perspective, it doesn't make sense that they're more expensive if they're equal. It's just a different flavor. Why are you paying 3 times more for a different flavor?
It's true, but again, this does mean we have to wait to see whether or not they're balanced. But yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Right. So, from there, one of the arguments for the cost of this is that clan mechs are going to be better and they're going to be more expensive, therefore you're getting more value for your time. Because if you were going to buy these for C-bills, it would take you 3 times longer. And I think that argument doesn't work, because they're artificially setting the amount of time to acquire these clan mechs to be higher, because they control the C-bill prices. So, what I'd like to see is clan mech prices being brought down to Inner Sphere prices. Because one of the things that Russ said in his explanation was that, hey guys, you're paying this $240, it's justified because clans are going to be frickin' expensive. And that justification feels hollow to me. Next point was the exclusivity of clan mechs. Just like the other Phoenix mechs, even if it's a publisher decision to make them expensive, it is a game design decision to make them exclusive for X period of time. Consider what happens if, say, the Daishi is the last mech released and it's going to be 6 months afterwards. Now again, of course, we don't know how long this period is going to be until you can buy them with C-bills, because we don't have any details at all. But for the sake of argument, let's say it's 6 months afterwards, and the Daishi is, bar none, the best assault. It is the new Highlander. What would you have done if the Highlander was not purchasable for 6 months after it was released?
That's a good point. I agree. Those are the same flaws that we had with the Phoenix mechs, and
and it turned out fine because all the Phoenix mechs were trash except for the Shadowhawk, and that was only a month.
Right. I think, I don't know if I read this somewhere or if it's just me thinking about it. I feel like the Daishi, the Thor, the Blackhawk, and the Uller are going to all come out at the same time, so that there's a clan mech of each weight class when clans drop. That being said, I believe that the Puma, the Ryokan, the Mad Cat, and the Masakari will all come out in individual months after that. So I think the longest you'd have to wait is 4 months again, just like with the the Phoenix pack. Also, just so I can call it right now on air, reinforcement pack. But it's gonna happen. I'll call it right now.
Mad Dog and Hellbringer.
Yep, Mad Dog, Hellbringer. Vulture, probably.
I had a third point, but I don't remember what it was, and I think we probably already covered it.
That's fine.
It's the Warhorn. That's the justified price.
Yeah, I fucking want my Warhorn, as long as that allows me to, like, play music at people. Okay, I think we can move on from clan mechs. We've talked about them plenty. Let's move on to the actual game that we play today. Alright, so we've got patch
play
notes.
a game?
Damn right, dude. Fucking I ran into Harry like 17 times today. He's the only person I've seen online. Okay, patch notes. So we had a fairly big patch. We got a new mode, we got a new map, we got the Thunderbolt, and for those of us that purchased the Saber mechs, we got some Saber mechs. First of all, how many of you have played the new map?
A couple times.
Yeah, everyone has.
It's so goddamn cool. I don't even care. I mean, I haven't played it in 12-man yet because it's going to be a bitch for 12-mans, but it's got... the sound effects are great, if nothing else, and I like the art style. Tactically, how do you guys think the new map's going to be?
I like it. It's got a lot of tight corners, got a lot of different levels. You need jump jets, but I think it's going to be brawly and fun.
The craziest thing I noticed is that people get separated because they're not used to the sound. Like, they get sensory deprivation, and they just lose their entire team and end up by themselves. And you can pick people off really easily because they're used to, like, having those footstops behind them to let them know where their team is. And when they're not there, they just kind of do their own thing and get completely separated. It's actually really cool. It means you get a lot of kills.
You really start to see the people who don't know how to push an R button.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
It's bar none the most three-dimensional of the maps they've released, and the most successful three-dimensional map they've released. If you look at Crimson, they tried to do some, like, three-dimensional stuff with that sort of upper dock area, and I feel that just turned into bad play where whoever was above had a huge advantage.
Unless you have already strikes.
Yeah.
And well, even with already strikes, the team above is good. They're just spread out, and like still getting great focus fire. I'm not sure if the ability to get on the walls was completely intentional for the advantage that brings, because I was getting like me and a buddy and Raven 3Ls with dual ER large lasers just walking out with like 800 damage apiece.
Yeah, because you can
completely fresh.
You can walk up on the edge of the map and then get on top of the wall. I don't know if that was intentional either.
Yeah,
It feels
I think you
intentional,
need
but
7 jump jets just to scale the wall.
If you've got jump jets, you can jump from this. If I think you need, I think it's 3 on a Jenner, maybe 4.
I did a whole analysis with Jaeger yesterday. It's on Twitch somewhere. Actually,
Nice.
It's on Reddit. Been downvoted the hell on Reddit for some reason. Don't know
Yeah,
why.
motherfucker.
Screw
My if it's not about clans and being butthurt, it gets downvoted to hell. I was on page 3 with my War Room post yesterday, and I was like, what happened? But the Reddit is messed up as all hell, so it doesn't matter. You can jump from the center to the wall fairly easily, but you can also just climb up the fucking edge if you want to.
In terms of being able to get on and off the wall, the C3 spawn, I think that's the one in the northeast, has a much easier time of it, both from inside the wall and from outside.
What do you guys think about the interior? Conquest is actually super fun. The first game I played, nobody knew where Theta was, so I just capped Theta, and then we won because of it, because nobody could find it.
I think the map favors the slower team almost, just because of like all the different corners, the blind sides. That the first team that gets in there can usually be taken apart by the team that comes in later in crossfires.
I've seen the opposite to be true. The team who takes the center basically denies the other team everything, and they are just really hard to approach.
Well, the thing is, if you go in the center, 4 of the cap points are on the outside. You really limit yourself if you don't cover the entrances to your outer 2 points, since they're almost next to each other. The map is pretty much set up on Conquest where 2 points are immediately captured. The center is what should be fought over.
It's basically King of the Hill. It's going to be a really fun attack and defend map, for sure, when that mode gets released. Right now, I feel like the northeast spawn has the advantage, because they come out with clear firing lines on the F4, F5. I've got the map up on stream if you guys want to check it out. The F4, F5 entrance, which is where 2 of the lances are going to enter. So if you get 2 of your lances through the E6, D6 entrance, and get them up on that hill as fast as you can, you get pretty consistent firing lines onto those incoming mechs. But that being said, the Brawler with jump jets is king on that map. You got an AC-20, some streaks, and some lasers, and you've got jump jets, you're going to do just fine, because you're going to be way more maneuverable, and this map is all about maneuverability in there, because there are a lot of ramps, and there are a lot of drop-offs, and good pilots will be able to take advantage of it.
Great for lights, too.
It's so much fun, and it sounds so cool!
Even tactically, it's a lot more fun than, say, Crimson is.
Mm-hmm.
There are enough options on it.
Yeah.
It's symmetrical.
Maybe once you get past the walls and out of the center, your options, well, you have 2 options, really. Once you get past the walls, and that's not so hot, but in the center, the play is fun and fast. I will have to agree that the guys who get in center first have the advantage, because we were playing 12s last night, and we got established in the center, and their team was just starting to come through the gate, and they'd peek their head out, and it'd be 12 guys shooting at them.
Gotcha. So I have yet to be in a game where the upper side didn't get to the center first.
Which one's the upper side?
Kappa Sigma.
Haven't played enough to notice.
Okay. That being said, I don't think taking... I don't know... I haven't played it in 12-man, so I don't know how it's going to work. It's going to be an interesting map for tactics, though, that's for sure.
I
We
expect
might
to
get
see
it
a
this
lot
Saturday,
of light.
Raffle.
Yeah, I'm going to be on a laptop on Saturday, so let's not fucking talk about it.
I expect to see a lot of lights fighting over the walls, because like we said, there's only a couple routes on and off the walls, or rather up onto the walls. So if you can force the enemy lights off that, then you have pretty good control of the map.
Yep. Something that I think would be interesting would be a tunnel from the base spawn points to Theta to kind of alleviate the choke point ability. Because that way you don't have to completely emerge onto the top of the map, and it would give the bottom of the map more play other than just capping.
Except I think the choke point is the characteristic of the map.
Yeah. It'd be
I
interesting.
think the bottom of the map does get play for flanking opportunities. If you get a pitched firing line, and you look and you're like, well, they're sitting next to that exit.
Right.
Then you can throw your mediums and your lights through the bottom and sneak up on them unawares.
Yeah, there are so many good fights I've gotten into on this map where I've just like dropped down. I've been playing only those Saber mechs lately, and you can just drop down and like sneak up behind people, and they don't hear you coming, so you just blast them away.
Yes, do not hit F4. You will hear nothing.
Yep. That's cool. I do like the three-dimensionality of it, and I hope that they do more of that with future maps. Do we know what the next concept is for maps?
No, we don't.
Okay. I'd really like to see like a true city where it's just grid after grid of skyscrapers and stuff like that, with like a subway
Actually sized
system.
skyscrapers?
What was that?
Actually sized skyscrapers, not Frozen City. Like, there's some really small buildings that just don't feel right.
Crimson Strait feels right. I like the way they
It
did
does.
that. But no, like it'd be super cool if they were just like these towering monstrosities, like way taller than the mech, and it was just an entire, 10 grids of that, with like maybe a park in the middle where Theta is, and then the points on the corners, and it was just city. It'd be fun for brawling. It'd be a completely new experience. I don't know.
Some holes that only light mechs can fit into.
Exactly.
There you go, PGI. Cut Raffle a check. He'll go to work.
Fuck that. I'm in college. I got.
Yay, Phil's
gotta-
gonna find out. Thank you.
I got a year and a half, man. Oh, yes, Phil, thank you. But yeah, I like the new map. It'll be interesting to see how it goes for 12s. I need to come up with something to have a go-to plan for it, but other than that...
What about that cockpit panel patch that I don't know what it's about?
Hmm?
I thought your standard plan was derp around and die.
Only when I'm playing SJR. Can't dare give you guys a good fight. No.
But no, I'm saying the next patch. I think it's the 21st.
Cockpit glass?
Yes.
I'm excited for cockpit glass. That's gonna be fucking cool.
Well, I mean, there's like 3 different things I've heard because there's nothing concrete on what it is. Damage will start showing up, or the screens that aren't used are going to be usable, or that
It's not the screens. It's glass in the actual
It's
windows.
gonna be like MechWarrior 3 with the shadow
Right.
glass.
I would like that.
Yeah,
or
that's-
then someone else mentioned the when you go to night vision or heat thermal, that it will only show up on the windows, not the entire cockpit.
That would be
No,
fucking so cool. Holy balls. But as far as I know, it's just the glass. It's just like your cockpit will show damage as your mech takes damage. So like the glass around the edges will crack. Again, somewhere in the realm of Twitter, and finding tweets is a pain in the ass, so I'm not going to do it. But yeah, it's just, as far as I know, it's just going to be glass in the actual windows, which will be really cool. I'm excited for that. That'll be fun. It'll add to immersion.
It'll add immersion, but February 4th is the big one.
First batch of January, the hitboxes for Catfrax, Stalkers, and a couple other mechs are being adjusted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, February 4th will be the big one, and I think I'll make it. I'm not too worried about it. We're not
Honestly, if they're doing anything other than just fixing the crotches, then you're just gonna find that like the Stalkers and Frax are dead entirely, and it's just Highlanders.
Well, yeah,
It's
because
not
all they're
just
really
Highlanders
doing
right now.
is just torso changes, really.
Yeah, I don't really think
Anywho.
the Cataphracts tape boxes aren't that bad, are they? They
They're-
used
rubbed
they're
Phil's
perfect.
beard.
Yeah, they used to be terrible when SRMs did splash damage, because if you had three SRMs on a DDC and an AC-20, you could one-shot a Cataphract because they did so much damage CT.
Didn't probably had huge heads too.
That's true. But yeah,
Right now, I think fracs are the example of perfect hitboxes, and if you change them, then you would be nerfing them very, very hard
I think they're just going to change
out of usefulness.
the crotches, because they're doing that on every mech. Have you guys used the new mechs at all?
I
Those-
did not buy them.
Those of you that have them?
Yeah, nope.
Yeah.
$30 well saved.
I'll just say,
I
I
have
mean,
them. I haven't used them. I like, besides the Wolverine, Phoenix variant with the ballistics, jump jets, missiles, and lasers. I don't really see too much use out of them that you don't already get with, say, like the Shadowhawk 2v2.
mhm.
Granted, the cockpit looks awesome.
Yep. I mean, the the Wolverine is the first mech that I don't like the way it looks. I think it looks like a brick. I think it looks like a brick shithouse. But other than, I mean, I don't think they're gonna have any competitive value just because the no ballistics, all the points are mounted too low.
SRMs aren't fixed yet.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time. But until
New episode.
something like that happens, they're not going to be viable for the competitive scene. That being said, they're fun. Like, they're fun to run around in. I really like the
Oh.
Griffin. It's just a generally enjoyable mech to pilot. It feels really quick and responsive.
Well, right now,
very
if
good.
and when Multi puts them into Proxys, they'll
They're
just
in.
be
I just
the
haven't made the production on non-plan worlds.
right. And so basically, they'll just be that extra mech you buy when you can't afford Shadowhawks because they're so damn expensive.
They
in
yeah, they
his current market.
they will be used in Proxys for sure, but I don't. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you'll never see them in Arhat or Merrick, but you don't see a lot of mechs in Arhat or Merrick.
Here's the thing. We all agree they are completely dependent on SRMs working.
If
Yes.
But
L-
2 days ago, Russ tweeted that SRM hit reg is, quote, good enough for now,
Until Community Warfare.
here's the thing though.
until Community Warfare comes out.
So this
And
is
that's just,
Uh,
to me, absurd, and just they're dead on arrival because of it.
well, so that's the thing that everybody always struggles with, is that you have only the, like, I don't know. I read that and I was like, well, fuck, SRMs aren't gonna get fixed for a while. But then I feel like they've caught so much flack for not having Community Warfare out yet that they need to just focus on that. And I will be happier with the community appeased so that they can focus on more detailed fixes like balancing SRMs and fixing hit reg and stuff like that. Because if they just try and do a quick fix, it could be the 2.5 damage splash damage SRMs all over again that do umpteen trillion damage per round, and I do 12,000 damage every, or 1,200 damage every game in my Atlas, stuff like that. And I don't want that. I would rather have them in the state that they are now than have them be completely broken. So,
Well, yeah, because you get what, one SRM6 is equivalent to 3 medium lasers.
currently, or the way it used to be?
No, currently, if they all were to make contact and do damage, granted it's not pinpointed, it's splash, they do more damage than 3 medium lasers.
Right. Before it used to be 2.5 damage per missile plus splash, and the splash always, like, splashed CT. So it was like 2 large lasers. And so SRMs are really fucking powerful.
Yeah.
Except, literally half your missiles don't hit. That's
Right.
not hyperbole. It's
No,
literally
I-
half your missiles don't hit.
Oh, I know, and it sucks, but at the same time, I want them to be in a comfortable place with the game before they focus on the competitive scene, because I would like the competitive scene for this game to be something that really takes off. And I'm
It's
a
not even
patient
competitive, though. You can't even pug with them if you're running in and, like, we tried last night because they said ballistic hit HSR was improved, and we're like, I wonder if they mean It wasn't ballistic. It was projectile HSR, and I was
Yeah.
we were going like, well, I wonder if they mean SRMs and projectiles as well.
It's
So
okay
we
on
went-
the new map.
Anecdotal, but I mean, I guess my evidence is anecdotal as well. But we did like 6 or 7 matches, and every single some matches were better than others with hit reg, and there were times where they regged perfectly fine, and we felt like we were on even terms. But then as soon as we got a match where, well, that Atlas just ate 3 of my volleys and his armor has turned light yellow.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, the fuck am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah, and my evidence is also circumstantial, which is just I had a couple like 700 damage games with 2 mediums and 4 SRM6s. Like, I mean, again, it's just I had a
It's really your
couple.
only option is to overload on SRMs if you want to use them.
Well, and I don't get me wrong, they need to be fixed. Like, they need to be, like, something needs to happen, but I don't want it to be what it used to be. I don't want them to just, like, fix something by upping the damage and have it be way too powerful. I guess I'd rather wait for a fix, but I'm a more patient person.
I don't
than a
think
lot of people.
anybody's saying they have to be overpowered or no fix at all. That's
No,
just
no,
want
no,
them to
right,
work.
right. We all just want them to work. I would rather have no fix than them be completely OP again, is all I'm saying.
And I would disagree with you because they, except for that bit where they were completely broken with splash and doing like more than they used to. This has been my standing example for like how long now, but it's when you looked at the one of the Arhod finals matches, there was an even mix of sniping and brawling, and that was because SRMs worked.
Yeah,
That's actually a really good
it's
point.
like recently with our Proxys matches when we went up against a unit where we saw that they had changed out of streaks to SRMs, and suddenly it was like, oh hey, light mechs, go in, rush, take their be your distraction.
That's I mean, they could just try switching the damage numbers, because what are they at right now? They're at 2?
2.0.
2.0. I just put them back up to 2.5. Just see how it goes for a 2-week cycle. See if they do enough damage that it's worthwhile. The only thing that I would add to that is that if you have 2 good ping targets going at each other, and one of them is a medium and one of them is an assault, the medium is going to have the advantage because his SRMs are going to hit more frequently.
Not even though, because I used to have missiles bounce off Atlases as much as I have them bounce off mediums.
Based on, I thought usually it's based on ping and speed. For me, that's been
So
my
I've
experience.
seen no discernible pattern to how
Okay.
they bounce off.
Fair enough. Then in that case, I would have to say I'd have to test it more, but
But that's kind of why just buffing damage straight is going to be a band-aid, and is definitely a band-aid, because then you're rolling the dice to see, well, do I annihilate this guy or do I do nothing at all?
Yeah. I mean, and again, I don't want it to be like up to 3.0 damage, but I think like 2.2, 2.5, something like that. It would be okay. I mean, try for 2 weeks. If it's totally fucked, it's totally fucked, and switch it back. But I mean, if you can't work on the hit reg, just do little stuff to try and band-aid it. That's fine. They're focused on bigger stuff, which is okay with me.
Right.
As
'cause,
long as
they're
they
gonna
actually
be
come back and fix it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're going to introduce new weapons. I mean, they've already said they're using the prime variants. I don't know, I'm going back to the clan mix here, but LBX5
Queenblade.
autocannons, Streak 6s, 4s, just an example.
No, there's going to
And
be a
they're
lot of
gonna
weapon
be
balance come
subject
this
to
summer.
HSR.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so we've got clans, we got the new map, we talked a little bit about the new mechs and how trash they are for the competitive scene. Skirmish mode,
UI 2.0, bling bling bling.
Have we even covered skirmish mode?
No, I just,
I love skirmish.
Awesome.
I was just
I
gonna
love
say,
skirmish mode, yeah.
Motherfucker, what? I haven't run into a single game that hasn't been like 12 assaults on 12 assaults. It's so irritating. If I want
we
to
ran 4 genders today in a couple skirmish matches and rocked face.
God, if I want to run a medium mech, I feel like I can't do it because I run into a bunch of tryhards running 4 Atlases, and I'm like, well, sucks to suck.
ran medium mechs all last night. Just
Sounds like a personal
Be better.
problem.
Dropping.
Yeah.
Well, the moral of that story is don't drop solo, but
Yeah, I haven't seen any issues honestly, with skirmish and there being so many assaults that I haven't seen in assault anyway. It's always seemed fine to me. I mean, we've got a couple Blackstone guys that like to take PPC, ECM cicadas and just run around the fucking map and embarrass assault pilots that are left.
Raffle, I don't know what you're talking about. I have seen plenty of lights.
Because every, like,
Oh, wait,
any
no,
match
sorry,
you get,
that's
the
not
only people are
entirely
dropping
true.
skirmish.
I haven't seen the lights. I've just realized that there are lights in the after-action report 15 minutes later.
I mean, there's a reduced amount of lights, but I'm seeing more mediums now. I think light pilots have been turning up the mediums and heavies.
Right, because there's so many assaults that they can't fucking take a light. Like, okay, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think here's the real question: do you see it having any place in competition?
Yeah.
Skirmish? Or do you guys think? I mean, I would ask you to ask Magician: is Arhad going to be skirmish, or is it going to be?
I would hope so.
I asked the question. You guys answer first.
And a Remnant Invitational's got skirmish as an option.
Quickly.
For one purpose only, which is it will make sync dropping easier because there's now 3 separate queues. That will make the competitive scene way easier until we have private matches. Skirmish would be fine in stuff like Arhad and the Remnant Invitational, stuff like that. I hope that things like Proxus stick to Assault, and I hope that Merrick sticks to Conquest.
I think that if you think that Skirmish is going to be an Arhad, then you're pretty much insane.
Okay, good to know.
It's just because it's strategically barren, and half the point of Arhad is to have teams competing on a strategic level to get that thinking man's game.
I'm not going to
And
ask why isn't it on Conquest, because that would take too long.
Because Conquest is actually honestly less subtle than Assault is.
Well, in a skirmish battle, and
I can see that.
I mean, are you going to see anything other than 8 Highlanders and 4 Jenners? I mean, would it really change the decks at all?
It would change how you use them. If the enemy is turtled up, what are your Jenners doing beyond dropping their 4 strikes?
I don't know, it seems like the same thing happens with Assault anyway. When
Well,
a team turtles up.
It's an Assault, you have an incentive to move out and attack the enemy, whereas in Skirmish you have none.
That incentive is sort of an inflated incentive, though. There isn't really a ton of incentive to move out and attack the enemy on Assault, because unless they're actively capping or you're actively trying to cap, you're just looking for their team to pound in.
Yeah, I mean, from the ROGD semifinals we played Swords, I mean, they pretty much capped their cap point the entire time. So, I mean, it's still a tactical thing. And I spent 10 years in MBT, and MBT was all team deathmatch, and the strategic depth there was still considerable.
I don't know. It'll need more play before we can actually make a true judgment on it, but we'll see. Is there anything else?
The in-game music.
Holy shit! I almost forgot the thing that doesn't have anything to do with the competitive scene. Yep.
Eve has sound.
What?
Wait, sorry, wrong game.
There's music now. It's pretty cool. I like it. I don't really know if there's much more to say than that. Does anybody not like the music?
I haven't had the music on since they put it in.
I'm listening to it right now. It sounds nice.
Yeah,
It's
well,
honestly
essentially
quiet.
there's now a powering up, like when you first start the match, music. There's a winner-loser music, and there's music in the mech lab.
I would like if I could turn off separate elements of it, because I don't want it in the mech lab,
Yep.
but I
agree.
would like to still have it in the match. And I ended up turning it off overall, just because I couldn't stand the mech lab music.
I ready up my mech, and as soon as I'm done, I click on my fucking browser, and I'm like, let's see what's on the internet today, because I'm just tired of listening to it. So yeah, let's get that added. One request from tonight is mech lab music button. No. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? We've been going basically an hour and a half, so I'm cool with cutting it anytime.
Does
Guys-
Sace or Multi-Talented have the better facial hair?
Sace.
Ooh, what? Ooh, I'm not even in the
Without
running?
question.
God damn, Siri, come on. No, it's fine.
You
I'll
don't
just...
even know. You got your hair on upside down.
Yep.
I shaved right before the show tonight, so it'd be nice and shiny for you, Queen. Oh,
No, I
Multi.
thought Multi was going to bring up Proxys.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about Proxys a little bit. Let's just take 10 or 15 minutes and talk about that quick, and then we'll be done.
Okay. So basically, if you haven't heard already, like, there's been a little bit of problem, I guess, with Proxys recently, as far as like teams of higher skill and teams of lower skill, basically having to play against each other, or this kind of griefing match almost to an extent, where a team will spam up to 9 attacks in a week against a team that, you know, could probably handle maybe 6 of them, and then like farm out the other 3. But the problem is that like, teams are losing repeatedly, and it's not fun. And so we've been trying to think of solutions for the past week, and there's been a meeting that's been scheduled for anybody that wants to join, where we will be talking about this in Season 4, potentially, wherever that is. I have some announcements to make on that as well. But if you're interested, on Saturday at 6 Pacific or 9 Eastern, we're going to have a TeamSpeak meeting in Mercstar, basically to bring up this problem, figure out exactly what it is, and come up with some solutions for it for Season 4, as well as make announcements of what features can be released in Season 4. And I think this is going to be interesting for everybody, not just people that play Proxys, because I've always thought, at least slightly, that Proxys has been similar to the official Community Warfare design. And I've tried to basically be an alpha test for official Community Warfare in that sense. And so, you know, figuring out what people bring as far as mechs, trying to figure out some kind of flexibility, and most of all, like, do, you know, balance testing and find these design issues has been one of the primary goals of Proxys, in addition to giving people a reason to play and prevent team burnout. And so I think we found a design issue, and I'm excited to solve it.
I have a recommendation for you. Do you want me to wait?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's the way MBT did it with units getting overwhelmed was that each unit would have a max number of defensive slots, so they can only be attacked X number of times before the limit was hit. If units were really aggressive, if they launched more attacks, then their defensive limit would increase as well, which kind of encouraged almost like a pile on the units that were more aggressive. So those units are more defensive units, more defensive battles. So it balanced it out a little bit.
That was something that was suggested. Say, like, there's already currently limits where, like, you can't attack a planet twice unless there's enough mechs to defend it. You basically are limited in that way as how many attacks you can get. But some teams, they just have, like, 11 or 12 planets, which is pretty common for a faction. And so that could be 11 or 12 attacks minimum, plus any drop ships that might get caught, plus any mechs that they have in excess of 12. So, you know, it becomes a big deal for factions, and it should be for factions. But I'm not so sure that just the raw number of attacks is what the problem is. Like, some teams just lose 9-0 in 1 week, and then they drop out because, you know, and maybe that's how, you know, Community Warfare is going to be. Like, you just have to pick up and start over if you feel like it. But from what I'm getting, people don't like to play that way.
Well, the thing that I would add that the difference between Community Warfare and Proxys is going to be is just the sheer number of players. You have very limited, well, yeah, no, I'm going to say very limited. You have very limited, like, player base and resources, whereas with Community Warfare, every player is going to be something. So they're either going to be, if they're not with a unit, then they're going to be with a faction. So even if you have SJR and SWK running a 12-man for 4 hours, you know, 5 times a week, just trolling, like just beating the shit out of whoever they're attacking with their faction or their Merc Corp, there's going to be the other 20 hours of the day where the actual players of the faction are fighting back against whatever other random pugs are taking, their side. So that's going to balance out that skill ratio that you're having problems with.
Alright, question for you on that though. If the top players, skill-wise, cannot have an effect, because they can only be on 3 hours a day, and the rest of the time it's just the Zerg dominating, do you consider that enriched gameplay?
I would say that, correction to my statement, 12-mans will not have as big of an effect. Good players will still have value. Like, if I'm still online and I'm playing most of the time and I'm winning, I am indeed helping my faction. But having your 12-man online for 4 hours a day shouldn't just mean that you're completely destroying the entire campaign, which is the problem that Multi's having. The problem that Multi is having is that player skill is completely trumping anything else, which is a huge problem. Whereas
that's basically my question. Is player skill trumping anything else a problem in the first place?
to the extent that Multi is dealing with it, yes.
Yeah, I think one of the
it's
biggest
been
things.
2 months, right?
October 20th was the start date.
Well, this has been a problem since the beginning of Proxys.
Right.
I just don't know why people started bringing it up more now than ever. Like in Season 1, Chaos Legion went 23-0, and the only people that were complaining were the clans. And I think that clans are extinct to this day because of Chaos Legion, at least as far as Proxys goes. And so now I guess like you've got Swords of Kentaris and 228 Pirates, double teaming 10th Sky, and then like they've got the rest of the league worried that they're going to get 9 attacks next week. And so that's been one of the primary concerns and one of the best, I guess, ways to pin down what the problem is. But I think still, even with that, a lot of people disagree on what exactly the cause of the problem is. And that's what I want to talk about on Saturday. So
yeah. I don't.
My question: if you limit it to say these guys can only be attacked 3 times, it's still at the end of the day it comes down to, can they actually win any of those 3 battles?
I think that solutions generally fall into one of 3 categories so far as I've heard. You get people that say, just limit the number of times people can get attacked so they can just like get away, or they can go get diplomatic means, which has been kind of the approach Proxys has taken so far, maybe not as strictly as it should have been. And then the other 2 are, say, like you have restrictions where you force this more skilled team to play, more of a challenging game, where, like, say you take a matchup of 10th Sky Rangers and, Swords of Kentaris and, what's the new unit? Like, some backwater team that's just joining the community, and they're basically, going to have to go 12 mechs against 12 mechs against, one of the better teams in the entire game. And, the solution would be, let's have 10th Sky play with only 11 members, and then their 12th is a spy that they can't team kill. And the spy just relays their position to the enemy team, and that's like one of the disadvantages. Something like that. And then the third category of solutions has been, it's not possible to have these teams play together, so therefore let's do some kind of tiered league, like you would see maybe a StarCraft style thing, or like teams that get higher win-loss ratios, just their region of space that they can move around in moves to the right or something, so they get access to new planets, but at the same time they can't attack any more teams that are newer, so they have to only defend their planets or something like that.
What if you restricted the top tier teams to being only mercenaries?
Well, that I guess is part of the third category, and already the game has kind of pushed people towards that. A lot of times mercs can only field, one team, but sometimes sometimes they can field more and they want to play as factions or clans, and I don't want to really limit that. Sometimes they play as pirates, and that's more towards teams that barely have enough people to do 12s. Essentially, playing as a merc you're generally going to field heavier mechs because you don't care about defending planets. You don't have that much of an attack surface that you can defend. So you're going to run like Credit does with Highlanders and 3Ds and whatnot, and win more of your fights, or try to win more of your fights.
Oh.
The thing, I was just gonna say, the thing that I would suggest would be rosters. Making sure that you have a roster and only allow discrepancies in rosters if the players are being pulled from another team at a price. So, like, SWK takes two 228 guys and pays them $1 million for each pilot, just so that there's some fee for not being able to field your own 12-man.
Well, that doesn't really solve the base issue, because if SWK can consistently field their 12, then they don't need, that doesn't affect them at all. My question for Malty is, have you looked at the World of Tanks Clan Wars format?
I'm not aware of it.
Okay. How it works is that each clan has 100 chips, up to a max of 100 chips, where each member in the clan, max 100 in a clan, is one chip, for the purposes of the clan warfare board. In order to attack or defend somewhere, you have to send chips to it. If you're not attacking with chips, you just have them on your territory, and if that territory is attacked, then you'll automatically defend. And for each chip that you have on a territory or in an attack, you're allowed to send that many people to the battle. So obviously most people will use 15 chips, a full team, for attack and defense, because there's no point in just sending 10, because that's going to be a waste of chips if the enemy has 15. But the point is that because you only have a limit of 100 chips, and you want 15 chips for either attack or defense, then that puts a hard limit on how much territory you can really hold without being attacked on like an empty territory and just technical victory for the other guy.
I really like that. Siri, you're coming to the meeting on Saturday. Malty, what time is it at?
Again, it's at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern. And on the topic of like limiting people's territory, sure, you can limit a team that's really good to their own, realm, but like teams will just unclaim planets and then move around. And I think that limiting a team with like say costs for planets that they've captured, or having some kind of like revolt mechanic where contracts just start getting generated on planets that anyone can pick up to attack behind enemy lines, that sort of thing, where they get mechs automatically just by taking the contract to do this fight. Any kind of limiting mechanic like that is nice, but it doesn't really solve the root issue of it's not fun to be beaten down 12-0 by the best team in the game.
Right. But the way it goes about solving it is because in tanks there are high, mid, and low value territories, and each territory has like a certain payout. Say the highest value territories are like 4,000 a day, and the lowest tend to be about like 240 or 480.
Yep.
So then your high level teams tend to try and fight for the best territories, and then the other teams can still sort of go around and fight for the other ones, and if they want, they can try to fight upwards and get better territories, but they have to back it up with their actual fighting skills.
I like that. That's cool.
It's interesting, making it more valuable or less valuable to take planets.
As much as I would like to spend all night fixing, or like coming up with fixes for the league, is there anything like last thing you want to cover, Malty? We've been going for like an hour and 45. I'd like to wrap it up soon.
Yeah, I'll be posting an agenda, and once again, everybody that wants to come and talk about this is invited. It's not going to be like a democracy or anything. It's going to be more like a debate where we're going to present ideas and try to get it within 2 to 3 hours. So,
Killer.
Looking forward to that.
Okay. Does anybody have any last closing thoughts on clans, on the patch, or on Proxus?
Let me select which mechs I want.
Yep.
They all are $30. Just let me pick which ones I want.
Fair enough. I think that's I think everybody kind of likes that. Alright, let's go around and do shoutouts. As per usual, we'll go in reverse order. Trent, start us off.
Stop calling Grimlock hot talent. It's going to his head. And we don't like him.
All right. Sace, you're next.
Shout out Remnant Invitational tomorrow. We have Lego Undungeon and one more casting the BSK versus SWK match. I believe that's first seeded versus third seeded team. Should be a good matchup. It's Twitch TV / Remnant Invitational at 9:30 Eastern.
All right, Queenblade.
I'd like to actually shout out the Templars and congratulate them on their big jump into the competitive scene January 1st.
That's right, they're joining Proxys. That'll be an exciting day. They're joining as a unit, correct, Multi?
They're joining as a faction.
Yep.
A faction, and either a Merca Pirate.
Oh, cool. So they are joining as two separate things.
3.
Oh,
3.
Damn. Cool.
Mhm.
2 factions and then either a Merc or Pirate. Cool. That's awesome. All right, Siri.
By order of our glorious leader, Vasago Rain, SJR is now disbanding. No, I'm joking. I don't know how this got started, but there's a rumor floating around, apparently from the latest Concast, that SJR is disbanding and
Super
leaving
trustworthy.
the game.
Yep, super trustworthy.
And yeah. Number 1, consider the source. Number 2, no, we're not leaving. You're stuck with us. Suffer.
Damn it!
Thank God, because if I can't fill an automatic slot with somebody from SJR, I'm going to be screwed for this show. All right, and then Multi.
Well, my shout out goes to Queenblade for being such a very helpful person, and I wouldn't have made it this far with Proxys if it weren't for him.
All right. I guess that just leaves me. As always, thank you to my guests for showing up and putting up with my lack of knowledge in so many different areas, and thanks for everybody who watched. I'm going to be out and about doing family stuff for the next 2 weeks. As I look at my calendar quick. So the next show will... I'm not going to do one on the 2nd, that'd be a pain in the ass. So the next show will be the week after. So the next show will probably be on the 9th of January. There won't have been a ton of stuff to cover, so hopefully we'll have some new information from PGI about clans or stuff like that. But yeah, so to everybody who's on the show, to everybody who's watching, enjoy your holidays.
We should have a patch to discuss too on the 9th.
Oh, that's true. Yep, there'll be a patch first week of the new year. That's true. Yeah. So to everybody who's watching, have a happy holidays and play, don't play, whatever. And I'll see you when we get back. Thanks for watching, guys.
Choose to play.
Play, don't
Yep.
play. I don't care.
I mean, I'm not gonna be here. I'm making a special trip with my laptop to be able to play for a match on Saturday. I can't believe I'm doing it. It's gonna.
Wow.
Yeah, fucking process.
Don't attack us Saturday.
Well, we could force Antara Scorpions to play during the league designated hours, but no, we're being nice to our European guys.
All right, guys. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Later.
Good night.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.